All right. Hello and happy Tuesday, everyone. I am very, very excited for today's show because we have an extra special guest. Normally, it's just me talking and you guys chatting in the chat box, but we have a fantastic guest for you. We are talking foreign rights today. So I know lots of you have questions. You will have a chance to type them in and get them answered. And as always, we do have prizes for everyone who has commented the day a video has been released. And I'm going to start off with those prizes right now, just so we get that done. And then we will, of course, have our prizes for those of you watching and listening. You can say hello and we'll have prizes for participation there. And Angela, if you are there, just to confirm that you have arrived, I'm seeing lots of people there, but Angela, if you can confirm you're here, that would be fantastic. And I'm going to go ahead and share the prize page where we're going to randomly pick a name, and then I'm going to introduce our guest to you. So one moment while I choose our first winner for our people who have commented on the day a video is released. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and spin the spinner. So everyone who has commented on Tuesday or Friday when a video has released, and that, if you're watching the replay, that counts for the replays of these too. So here we go. We need the drum roll. And Damian Andrews. Now, I know you're international and I believe you've gotten all the books, but if you want us to send you another book, just email team@booklaunchers.com to collect your prize. And as always, thank you for commenting on the day a video was released. All right, picking number 2. Okay, Rob Nelson, congratulations. And you, as long as you are in the United States, you are eligible to win one of our #No Boring Books mugs, our Oh So Soft journal, or a copy of Self-Promote and Succeed or Self-Publish and Succeed. And you need to email Angela at team@booklaunchers.com with your mailing address, because she doesn't know where you live, and also your choice of prize. So thank you so much for commenting the day a video was released. All right, so now let me come back to all of you. I've lost you guys. Where are you? There you are. Okay, fantastic. And then I'm going to introduce our special guest to you today and get this started because I am very excited. Oh, Angela's here now. Great. Hello, Angela, St. John Butler, Joyce, Kevin, Stella, Efren. Thank you all for being here. All right. So today we have an extra special guest. As you guys already know, we are talking about foreign rights. So if you've ever dreamed of having your book for sale in a different language, in a different country, this is for you. So we have Roseanne Chang here, and she is an award-winning author, an award-winning ghostwriter, book marketer, director of business development at DropCap Rights Agency. She is also a lifelong reader. We all are at Book Launchers, so she's a great fit with our company. She's also a writer, and she began her work in book publishing as a marketing director for an indie publishing house based in Minneapolis, and eventually co-founded Evergreen Authors, which is an online school teaching authors the business of writing and marketing their creative work. And now in her current role with DropCap, she has the unique pleasure of matching global rights buyers with titles that have the potential to positively impact their communities. She's passionate about educating authors. I mean, she is so excited to be here today and publishers about the power and opportunity of having their books elevated to the international market. So we are so excited because I know a lot of you have questions. I know a lot of you are interested in this subject. So I am just going to turn it over to Roseanne while she is talking. If you have questions, go ahead and type them in the box as always. And of course, say hello because there are prizes for participating. But Angela will collect the questions. And then after this short presentation to give you guys a good foundation on this subject, then after that presentation, we'll try to get through as many of your questions as we can. So thank you for being here, Roseanne, and just take it away.
It is my absolute pleasure. I love Book Launchers. I love everything you guys are doing. You guys are so fabulous. It is just an honor to be here today talking about global rights, foreign rights, elevating all of these amazing indie books to the global rights market. So that was a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. I have been in publishing now for about 15 years, and that is light years in the publishing world because things change so very quickly. And that's, it's just such an exciting time to be a writer. Despite whatever you will hear on the news, I still fully believe that we are in a wonderful time and space to be creative people. So it's my pleasure to bring DropCap to all of you. We are a global rights marketplace for publishers and independent authors. And let's talk a little bit about who we are. So we are a literary agency, very much operating like a traditional literary agency, except we have a very specific focus, and that is selling foreign rights for books, for print and audio, and even film and TV translation. Our team has been in business for collectively as a team for about 7 years, but the founders of this company have been agenting for over 20 years themselves, and we have all sorts of experience working in the self-publishing world with indie publishing houses. And the thing that makes us really unique is that we feel very, very strongly that when you integrate all of the experience that this team has with indie publishing, with indie marketing and getting books out there, especially to the global rights stage, when you integrate that with really amazing tech, then that is when you get DropCap. We created our own very special proprietary software that really acts as a matchmaker between quality titles that come into our marketplace and our huge, extensive array of global rights buyers. Okay, so if you are unfamiliar with how rights agencies work, like I said, it's kind of a traditional model. And it's a little complicated, but I really tried to break it down into 3 very simple steps here. So, okay, the first thing that we have to do, of course, is to secure high quality titles from publishers, agents, and authors domestically. So we're always looking for the very best of the best titles that we know that our international rights buyers are going to be excited about. Next, we have to showcase those titles to our global partners. We do that through our very special software, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and also at international book fairs. We go every year to Frankfurt and to London. We went to Guadalajara last year. We have co-agents that are at some of the Asian book fairs. So truly, it is it's a huge. If you've never been to an international book fair, they're just these enormous trade shows where we are constantly networking, and we have our signature gigantic big red booth where we have shelves of books and take meeting after meeting with rights buyers around the world and show them some of our best titles. And then finally, of course, we do all of that wonderful agenting work, like negotiating advances for books if people are interested in them. We negotiate royalties. We do all the contract management. And again, what makes us really, really special is that we're able to scale this quite well because we have this really, really cool software that we use exclusive to us. Okay, so here's just a sneak peek of what our global network looks like. We have licensed well over 2,000 or secured well over 2,000 licenses, over 15,000 titles. We have tons of sellers and buyers all over the world, and we're constantly growing this network. Okay, so when we talk about some of the opportunities that are for authors here in the foreign rights market, a lot of times people are just focused on translation. So getting your book that was originally in the English language translated into Spanish. And that is certainly one thing that we do. But really what licensing actually is blossoming into and continues to get more and more exciting for us around is audiobooks. We do those types of licensing. We do TV and film adaptations. And we also have all sorts of other printed formats that we do licensing for. This might include book club editions, maybe some large print. There's been a lot of tarot cards and other card decks that have gone along with books that have been licensed recently. It really depends on the geography and what they're looking at or looking for. And so our job really at DropCap is to, when we're making these relationships with these global rights buyers, is to meet all of their needs. So it's not just a print translation of the book, but it can also be any of these other means as well, like TV, film, and audio. And honestly, if you've been in publishing for a long time, particularly if you have been an indie publisher or an indie author for a long time, you know that a lot of this work for many, many years has been kind of who you know, right? And when you're an indie author, you might have the most amazing book in the world, but if you don't have the backing of a gigantic press that has a ton of foreign rights agents that are doing this work for you, it's something that really indie authors haven't had a chance to take advantage of. And because we have this amazing software that really helps us match make titles with our rights buyers, we really want to change that story, especially for all of these very, very high quality indie books that we are seeing come through our system. And here's a really great example of one. So this is an author that we work with very, very closely. She came to us last year through a partnership we have with IBPA. Her book is called The Book of Azrael, and she's really just kind of living the dream thanks to what we were able to accomplish for her. She's got an amazing TikTok channel. So when we saw her book come in, it's the first in a series called The Book of Azrael. It immediately caught the attention of some of our rights buyers. It says here there are 11 rights deals to date. That might be outdated at this point. She might have quite a bit more. I know that there are talks for movie rights right now for her. And she also was able to land a 5-book romantasy deal. Did you guys know that that's a word? I learned that from her. Romantasy is romance and fantasy combined. So she got a 5-book romantasy deal in the UK. We are so, so excited for her. And she's a perfect example of someone who was able to take advantage of our software and our matchmaking and really see huge international success. And she's just going to keep growing from here. Okay, so what we do is the way that DropCap has worked historically has been that we've only secured our titles through our publisher, our small and mid-sized publisher contacts. But because we are so adamant that some of these indie titles that we're seeing a lot of success in, there's got to be a whole lot more. I'm sure a lot of you have written some of those books. We created what we're calling DropCap Marketplace. And our marketplace is a place where you can affordably kind of gauge international interest for your book. You list it with us in our software, and we give you options for email promotions and book fair placements. You get all sorts of insights about how your book is doing and what we think that you can do marketing wise to capitalize and optimize some of your success domestically. That also helps us sell your book internationally as well. It's a great way for us to sell your book to rights buyers when we can show them that it has achieved domestic success first. And really listing your book on our marketplace makes it so you can really take advantage of this matchmaking software that we are using to get your book in front of rights buyers every single day. We do more than just use our software to match books with rights buyers. We also have a team of people that's really dedicated to making sure that our buyers are seeing your books very consistently. We have weekly pitch emails that go out. We have a wonderful social media manager who is highlighting books all the time to our rights buyers. That is particularly exciting during book fair time because there's all sorts of hashtags and excitement that's happening when people are at those international book fairs. We have a Facebook ads genius on our staff. She does amazing work getting some of our titles noticed through Facebook ads. We have email drip campaigns. We do monthly newsletters and emails and blog posts. We are just consistently dedicated to making sure that the titles that are in our DropCap Marketplace system are getting seen and noticed by our rights buyers. Okay, and so for DropCap Marketplace, for the individual indie author, we really created it so it's something that authors can use for the lifetime of their book. If you just have one book that you're really interested in showcasing to our global rights buyers, we are charging that at $97 per year. And again, that's what we mean by like kind of an affordable way to kind of gauge interest. And then, of course, if you have more books, we have options for that. And if you go to dropcapmarketplace.com, you can see that if you have more than 10 books, if you're a really prolific writer, you can reach out to us about some enterprise pricing as well. But really what's included is not just listing your books with us and taking advantage of our software. We really wanted to create sort of a robust profile that authors can use for the lifetime of their book. You get a custom landing page on our website that you can share freely. You have access to a media kit that you can use. You get a rights report with all sorts of insider industry data that we pull together monthly. We have all sorts of buyer insights that you can see inside of your dashboard of your book and how it's performing. We have a downloadable sell sheet that you can use for any of your marketing purposes, not just for bragging that your book is now available in the for foreign rights buyers. And then, of course, because so many of our backgrounds is with book marketing and selling to the global rights market are very intertwined. We try to make sure that our authors that take part in this get all sorts of access to our marketing resources and any of the tips and tricks that we get from the front lines. And then I'm going to leave with this wonderful success story. Joseph Wynn is somebody who came to us as a self-published author, probably, oh gosh, it's January. So probably almost 2 years ago. And he completely self-published his book called Don't Believe Everything You Think. And he came to us and said, I'm getting all of these calls from people saying that they're interested in my book. I don't know if you guys have ever had that experience where you get an email from someone overseas saying that they're interested in licensing your book. He was very, very smart and decided to reach out to some experts about that to make sure that it wasn't a scam and making sure that, all of the pieces were in place. What should he do next? As soon as we saw the interest that he had gotten from the international rights, one of the international rights buyers, we knew that we could very quickly make that deal happen for him. And once that deal happened, it was kind of deal after deal. So I want to say he's got about 25-ish, don't quote me on that number, something like that, rights deals to date. He is a bestseller multiple times over in India now. He is a bestseller in Mexico as of just a few weeks ago. This is such a perfect example of the right book at the right time and getting the attention of these rights buyers that we have access to and really having that success build upon itself. So he is certainly a domestic success, but he's an international success as well. So that's kind of all I've got. I would love to have you all head over to dropcapmarketplace.com so you can check it out. We have the pricing on there. We have all sorts of resources on there. And we just would love to be part of your success story. And now I'm ready for all the questions. I can't see them, but I'm sure that there's tons of them.
Yeah, thank you. It's been fun because we've had a handful of authors get inquiries, and some of them, one of the tips just for everybody else, if they're asking you to pay money, it's not a legit it's not a legit offer. But yeah, we've had a lot of fun with one of our authors because he's been getting new emails that are legit on a very regular basis. And I think you guys are actually in process of negotiating something already. So,
we are.
So that's so fun.
He's keeping us very busy. It's great.
Yes, that's always exciting. So so I'm going to go ahead. You guys go ahead and ask questions. Angela, if there are any, let us know. I think everybody was just taking notes because I didn't see any questions come in yet. A couple comments on romantasy.
It was a new word to me. I don't write in that genre. So maybe everybody knew and I didn't. I don't know.
We're nonfiction over here. So I definitely did not know about that.
Yes.
All right. So while you guys post your questions, I'm going to go ahead and do our first prize for participation today. Hopefully you guys will see this come up on the screen. And Angela says there haven't been any questions, just comments so far. Stella, one thing you can think about here is Stella, I did see Stella say she wanted to go from English to Greek. So I don't know you can think about this while I go and post the other screen, but I don't know if there's a specific approach. If you have a language, either you're bilingual and you're interested in, that translating it in a specific country, if you kind of have ideas of how to go about that. But hold that thought 1 second here, and let me go over to giveaway tool. Here we go. And you guys should see everybody who has commented so far. You are going to, there's been 10 different people have commented so far. And our first winner today, Angela can't win. Kevin, congratulations. So as always, email Angela at team@booklaunchers.com with your mailing address, and then let her know if you want the mug, the journal, a copy of Self Promote and Succeed, or a copy of Self Publish and Succeed. Okay, so do you have an answer or thoughts on the question that I left you with?
Actually, it was a perfect question and a perfect thought that you left me with, because I want to make it very clear here. So DropCap does not do the translations for people. So we're not involved in that. Again, it's very important to know that we operate like a traditional literary agency. So say you were to bring your book to us, and we were to showcase it to rights buyers who have expressed interest in your genre. So our software is pretty sophisticated in that when we have buyers in our system, we don't show them everything, because not every rights buyer is going to be interested in everything. But if your genre is something that they're interested in, and then they reach out and want to negotiate a deal, that's kind of how it works. Let's say a buyer in Greece wanted to have rights to your book. We would negotiate in advance. We would negotiate royalties. We would not be involved in any of that translation work. And you, the author, while you could certainly tell us, like the way it works with the marketplace is that if we get interest, we reach out to you immediately, and then we talk about, okay, let's bring you on for official representation so we can get started moving with the financial piece of this. When that happens, you would sign a contract with us, or, if you have a rights agent yourself, or you really want to negotiate the rights on your own, we would certainly try to make that happen for you. Obviously, we want you to come on board so we can help you with it, but if not, that's fine too. And then really, it's kind of a hands-off kind of thing. It's very much, it operates like a traditional agency. So you wouldn't be really involved in any of that translation work. We have had some authors who have come to us through the marketplace, and they've said, hey, my book is it's set in Italy, right? So I really want to showcase this to Italian rights buyers. People can take advantage of opportunities like that. It's a super great idea, but I would never want any author to limit themselves to that, because we have had so many authors be really surprised that their genre is something that's really interesting in the Turkish market or in the Chinese market. So while we obviously are segmented by geography, the thing that our software does very well is match by interested, or the genre of interest of the buyer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think there are questions coming in now, but the other question that I thought is interesting to talk about is what is kind of common that most foreign rights buyers are looking for. And we'll target this towards nonfiction, but
Sure.
I know the answer, so I don't want to lead you too much. But
Yes. So one of our agents often says, when you're thinking like, is my book a good fit for the global market in general? You want to ask the question, will it travel, right? And so all of you are nonfiction authors, and that means that you are dealing with probably a message or a strategy or something that you teach in your book. And as long as that is something that would be applicable, not just to your region or not just to the North American experience, but also globally, that's when we might be in luck here, right? Because we're seeing a lot of books, like we have a lot of children's books about like compassion and empathy, and every time those books get licensed for us, we're like, it's a reminder that, yeah, these are global issues where no matter where you live in the world, People are looking for books that are teaching compassion and empathy. Same with some of our business books that we get in, right? There's the how-to guides do really well. Books that are teaching a skill, how to build a business, maybe how to scale a business. These are worldwide things that people are really interested in. So, as long as the themes of your book travel, so to speak, we think it's always a good idea to give it a try,
And so, one question just popped up that's relative to this. And St. John Butler said, I'm working on a book that's an American football book. So is there interest in that outside of the US?
Maybe. Maybe. And to be honest, that's precisely why we made DropCap Marketplace, because while we can, we have this team who's been doing this for many years, we're surprised every day by what our rights buyers are interested in. So that's why we kept the price point so low. If you have a book that really teaches has a compelling message, or you're just not sure, our hope is that people will try it out, and worst case, you got some really interesting marketing insights about your book, and you've understood how the rights world works, and really that's not a ton of skin off your back. So that's that was the hope of making the marketplace in general.
And then one of the other things that we've seen and you guys have told us is having some sort of a social media presence really does help in this journey as well. And we've already seen that with the people who are getting contacted. They have a strong presence. So do you have anything to kind of comment on or add with that?
Yeah, I would say, the best thing you can do is put yourself in the mind of a rights buyer. So these aren't readers that you're targeting, right? You're targeting rights buyers, and they are looking for books that they think are going to be successful in their markets, wherever they are in the world. And what's the first thing that we do with books when we're curious about how successful it is? We're probably going to go to a big giant search engine like Amazon, see how many reviews are on there. We're going to look at the author profile and see, oh gosh, this author is a speaker. How many editorial reviews on there? Are there any awards? The same things that are setting your book apart domestically are going to be the ones that set it apart internationally as well. Social media is one of those things where, it helps. Right? I'm a firm believer that if you don't like being on social media, if you don't want to build a platform there, if that's not something that is in your wheelhouse and not something that brings you joy, then don't worry about it. Just focus on sales any other way. But if social media is something that you're really big into and you have a presence on there, it certainly is a nice thing for us to tell our rights buyers about.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we have a question from Efren, and he's already on the marketplace.
Oh, great.
And he said, what determines my book's translation potential in various markets?
I wish I could answer that. It depends on what is happening in the market at the time. One of our biggest successful stories of last year was a book about ChatGPT. So you can imagine that it was really timely. It was just a book about the right thing at the right time. So I would say that's probably the best answer that I can give you. But looking at, if you go to our marketplace, you can see a lot of our titles that are on there. Again, I wouldn't. What we're looking for is the right book, meaning it's a beautiful presentation. It's obviously a very professional design. I have no doubt that all of you that are on this channel you fall into that category of a beautiful, professionally designed, very well researched book. And then, just making sure that, is it the right book at the right time for that buyer? And I will say that, we would never in 100 million trillion years promise a book deal for anybody, no matter how successful the book is domestically. We just can't do that. And it wouldn't be honest of us to do that. But at the same time, if you have something that's timely, if you have award wins behind you, if you have solid sales behind you, gosh, it sure does help.
Yeah. And I think when I saw Monica speak at IBPA, one of the stories she shared was that, for a while there was, and I'll generalize the comment because I don't remember it precisely, but she was talking about a book they had on autism, and it was really successful in the US. And so they assumed that it was going to be successful internationally. and nobody wanted it. And then like 3 years later, they had 3 inquiries because suddenly in those markets, there was an appetite for books on autism. So it was interesting to me too, to just realize that, just because something's trendy and popular here does not mean it's trendy and popular everywhere, but it might be, right? It might be in a couple of years. So your book might have been out for years, but there actually could be an appetite for it somewhere else. So it was just an interesting example to me to kind of realize that everything isn't the same.
Exactly. It's a perfect example of that, right? I mean, that's the thing about the ChatGPT book as well. I remember all of us being like, oh, cool, a book on ChatGPT. It ended up getting one of the highest advances that we had ever negotiated in DropCap history. And it was because it was the right book at the right time.
Yeah. So. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, the next question, and this question, I don't know if you ever saw the movie, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was a romance author in the US, and it was just a fiction movie, but had his book translated in Mexico, and it did so well in Mexico because the translator completely changed the story and made it like a steamy romance story, but he didn't know because he didn't speak Spanish. And so Renee's question reminds me of that movie because he was like this huge celebrity in Mexico, and it wasn't until somebody told him
amazing
like into it. Anyway, so Renee's question is, who checks the translation?
Oh, it's a great question. Okay, so this is the other part too that's really important. Such a great question. One of the reasons that if you are interested in taking your book international, one of the reasons you want to work with an agency like DropCap is because we thoroughly vet all of our publishing partners. These aren't just random publishers who are going to translate your book into some sort of gibberish, right? That Google did and, throw it out to their audiences. These are people who their reputations are on the line here. And so Allison, who founded this company, has been doing this for, I think, over 25 years. And many of our connections within our network are connections that she has had for seriously the lifetime of her career. And she has said never once has that been an issue or a problem. And so that said, though, indie authors, and I know you well because I am one of you, they're very connected to the process. And so we have had authors come to us and they put their book in the marketplace, and we get interest from a rights buyer. And when they realize that they cannot be part of the translation or the cover redesign or any of that other stuff, because what you're doing is giving the overseas publisher the rights to do that in their own way with their own people and in their own geography. For some indie authors, letting go of that control is too much. And so this is not the right path for them. And that's totally okay. For the vast majority of the authors that we work with, they're just more than happy to have a traditional deal, especially after being an indie author for so long. But, I would never say that this process is perfect for everybody, especially if you're very, very married to a specific type of translation, which leads me to, I don't know if this question has been asked yet, but I'll just say it here. You as the author would never provide the translation for us, even if you have done the translation, even if you are bilingual yourself. That is not something that you would be able to do. Part of the rights deal would include their people doing the translation. And that is also true with English language. So we do English language rights in places like India and Great Britain. And while they're not translating your book, so to speak, they're translating into their colloquial English. And so we have to trust them to do that. And so that is part of the traditional side of this.
It was perfect because the next question was about if you've already translated your book. So you've answered that question.
Yeah, that's a common one. I should just put that in the actual presentation because I get that all the time. And it's not that it hurts that you have your book already translated into another language, but I don't know that it does much to, help your efforts in terms of getting a deal.
Yeah. Last question is from Kevin. Being nonfiction, is there specific advice you can give regarding do's and don'ts for getting interest from foreign rights buyers?
Well, let's start with the do's. I would say get a lot of Amazon reviews. make sure that when people are looking at, like, searching for your book in Amazon, they are seeing that there is a lot of domestic interest. Domestic interest is going to show potential international interest. So getting reviews, obviously sales. Our software is able to kind of show us, generally how much a book has sold, which is really helpful for us because, again, if we can say this is a bestseller here in the US, it is all the more attractive to an international rights buyer. I would say having a really, really sophisticated and professional online presence. So making sure that, your website is dedicated to you as the author, and not, also pictures of your kids and stuff like that. This is all stuff that you guys know, I'm sure, as nonfiction authors as well. I would say a presence on LinkedIn is always very helpful, but not everybody in the world is using LinkedIn, so that's kind of a hit or miss thing. You want to be you want to show yourself as a professional. And one of the things that we tell people, just for marketing wise in general, is that the book is an extension of you and not the other way around. So really lead with what makes you the authority, and make sure that your online presence shows that authority. And then the book is just an added bonus, icing on the cake. Apply to awards, win some awards. Our software is able to show specific awards that you have won. Our international buyers are always interested in award-winning titles. So those are probably my biggest do's. Don'ts. I don't know that I could really answer that. I would just say, anything that is regional, like very specific to a certain region, might not be the best for the global rights market. And any of you, again, I'm sure I'm talking to a very sophisticated crowd here, but you're, how everybody always says, don't judge a book by its cover. Well, we do, of course. And your cover needs to look like it just came off the presses at any of the big 5 publishers. If you're an indie publisher, that is absolutely the expectation. If you have a nonfiction book, you want to make sure that your title and your subtitle are very clearly showcase what the book is about, what people are going to take away from it. So then we can entice them to look further into it. So
awesome. I feel like you just sold our service.
Oh, great. Keep doing what you're doing, book launchers. Let's do that.
Exactly. That's what we talk about here all the time. I'm always emphasizing, that cover, but also that title and the subtitle and even the chapter titles, like all of those first impression pieces. It goes to domestic sales, but it's fascinating to hear that the very things that we focus on to create a great product here are the things that will actually help the foreign rights buyers when they're evaluating your book to consider it for their titles. So that's really, really cool. So thank you for that. I'll pay you
more
later.
Than welcome. Thank you for giving us quality indie books. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. So guys, we are going to do our last prize. So share your favorite tip that you got from Roseanne today, and that will be our final prize. So Angela, you'll get the pleasure of choosing that. It looks like we don't have any more questions from the audience. The one thing I was just thinking about was covers, because another thing and I don't know if you have any visuals to show, but the one thing that I thought was really fascinating was a slide that I remember very vividly from their presentation at IBPA, was how the covers changed country to country and how, it's so dramatically different. I don't know if there's anything that you can show us or if you can just, speak to it. But,
yes.
But that was really interesting to me.
You're asking at the absolute perfect day, because we have a wonderful social media manager who is based out of Spain, and she has spent the last week doing some really cool stuff on our DropCap social media, so both on Facebook and on Instagram, showing what some of our titles look like when they have been, redesigned in different countries. Always super fascinating. Sometimes the rights buyers don't want to change the cover at all. And that's cool. And sometimes they want to change it a ton. And we are all, it's honestly like, it's like Christmas morning when we get that email that's like, oh, here's the new cover for the Book of Azrael that just came out in, Turkish or whatever, right? And we can see it and it's like, oh, how cool, like they have some sort of designer there, or maybe there's an aesthetic that this particular publisher uses all the time. So yeah, I mean, again, we're not part of that. It would be like part of the translation. We're not really part of that design process, but when we see it, oh man, it is super awesome. And it's also just very fascinating to see like the ones that they do want to change versus the ones that they don't. We never know. We're on this wild ride with you. So
right. And I just pulled up, where did it go? I pulled up the Instagram because I could access it quickly. Of course, I was just going to show everyone. Oh, here we go. This should work. Okay. So
yes, I knew you were going to pull that one up.
Yeah. So then this was cool. So this example right here. So this is, I assume the one on the left is the US version, and then this is it's translated. That's very cool. I'll scroll through quickly and see if there's any other examples.
There might not be. It might have been a story.
It might have been a story. Yeah. I don't know if it'll let me show story. Yeah, there's no stories here.
Regardless,
covers. Here we go.
Oh, there you go.
This might give it to us. There we go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty interesting, right? And a lot of times they'll keep the same like color palette, and sometimes not.
That's totally different. That one. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's so fascinating.
Yep. It's so fun. Yeah.
That's very cool. Everybody can play with that later.
I know. And that's the dream, right? Like, we're all authors too. Like the idea of seeing your book in multiple translations, that was a dream that was only available to the luckiest traditionally published authors ever. And when we were creating DropCap Marketplace, that was what really motivated us. We were like, it doesn't have to be that way anymore. And we can give this dream to indie authors. So it's so exciting.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm so excited by what we've been doing together and what we're going to keep doing together. It's so fun. And I'm just so excited for our authors that are going down this path and they're getting contacted. And it's fantastic. I love it. All right. So some of the tips coming in, Angela's trying to choose one, but I'll share them with you and everyone else. So Kevin says, having a great and professional looking social media presence is necessary. Joyce says, remembering that the book is an extension of me. Teresa says, a social media presence isn't necessary if it gives no joy.
Please find the joy.
I love that. Stella says the exposure DropCap gives to the global scene. Megan, favorite and most interesting tip was if you translate your own book, it doesn't necessarily give you a leg up. And then Angela's favorite tip was to put yourself in the shoes of a foreign rights buyer when you're thinking about your book. So lots of fantastic tips. And Angela, who is our winner? I have to give it a nip. And any other things you want to cover before we wrap up for the day?
Me or you?
Yeah, you.
Oh, okay.
Nobody else is going to answer me.
No, I don't think so. I just, I would highly recommend take your time going through dropcapmarketplace.com, see all the things that are on there. You can always reach out with questions. But yes, I just, and if nothing else, follow us on our social media, get kind of familiar. I realize that this is new stuff. If you're an indie author, this is brand new, this whole traditional world. So just follow us and sign up for our email list and all of that good stuff. We have a rights guide that you can download for free on DropCap Marketplace just to familiarize yourself with how rights work. And just take your time and decide if this is right for you.
Yeah, fantastic. And Megan, you are our winner. So thank you so much. Email Angela at team@booklaunchers.com. Let her know your mailing address and which of the prizes that you want. And Roseanne, thank you so much for being here with us today and answering everybody's questions and sharing. We are so grateful for you and DropCap and for you giving us your time today.
My pleasure. My absolute pleasure.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Bye.